This is day one in Latvia, and the idea here is to go and check out where these Bitcoin mining containers are built before they're then shipped to the rest of the Nordics.
All right, let's go for a walk. So you put the miner and you need to cool it down. In our case, we have a bit different approach. The focus here is not the hash rate,
Right.
which is nice to have and good to have, but it's actually the heat. So this is the focus here, the heat. By all agreements, this must deliver the heat.
The Bitcoin itself is the waste product with this setup.
I wouldn't like to call it a waste because this business model wouldn't work without Bitcoin. It's both beneficial that combined make a good business model. So what we're looking at is, so this is the pumping system with redundant pumps. Then we have the heat exchanger, and this is the part where the heat or the colder or cooled water comes from the town, gets exchanged to a colder water to cool the miners down, and then miners warm up the hot water, which comes through the heat exchanger and delivers the hot water back to the town.
So the Bitcoin miner is a boiler?
It is. It actually is.
Right, okay.
Just a very advanced one. We have split the container in two parts, which is the heart of the container, where all the pumping and piping is, and then we will go later into the data center part where the miners are, and it's more. So we just were to energy conference here in Riga, and they were just loving it. So we have all the district companies now coming over during these 2 days, just to talk about and the heat, and of course, what we like to talk about is also Bitcoin. So let's go into the data center part. Joe, welcome. And this is the heart of the electrical part. So it's two power distribution units, main distribution panels that are going to be connected to the transformers. And each of them powers 4 racks of these. As we do have a quick, a small sample of Aurodyne miner here.
That is a Bitcoin miner.
That is, yes.
Bitcoin miners come in lots of different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that you can put in a container to then use it for heat.
So
right?
the dimensions are pretty standardized from the data center world, and I'm happy we're going into more standardized direction rather than before that we had the shoebox design of air-cooled ones.
Yeah.
So we can stack them. Now it's 20 miners per rack in this case, but we can push out or actually build 24 miners per rack.
Right. It's just weird to think that this machine, yes, it creates money, but it's also able to heat towns, and the town's residents don't even know, don't have to know. They could even think that Bitcoin is a scam, and yet they're turning on their, heating at home, they're turning on the radiators, and they don't know that it is coming from a Bitcoin miner. How sick is that?
Of course, it's not the only way to heat towns. So this is just a very important one where you can raise the temperature, let's say up to 70, 75. In Riga, they use the backflow of the city is like 40 degrees. Miners' most efficient temperature is at 40 degrees. So it's actually pretty well designed for that we actually would use this for heating towns. This will be quite narrow, but here you see the connection points to the miner. So we have one manifold, the cold water, and the other, the hot one. And then we have the main manifolds that go to the pumps through heat exchangers.
A manifold is just a pipe, right?
Manifold is just a pipe, exactly. Joe, are you well insured? This is completely safe, I guarantee. See here now is a dry cooler with a cooling capacity of 1.6 megawatt. Interesting thing is, in most Bitcoin mines where they use hydro cooling technology, this is the main cooling source. In our case, this is just a backup. This is just when the city doesn't need the heat at the scale that it's producing the heat.
So it's like letting the steam go off into the air.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like the on top of the kettle. You let the lid off and all the steam escapes.
Precisely.
Okay. What would be the alternative if you didn't have this thing on the roof?
So if you know that there might be situations where the city doesn't need all the heat, but you still don't want to really waste it because you already produced it. As any manufacturing plant, you have some manufacturing costs, which in this case is Bitcoin and heat. But you can also have an water accumulation tank set up next to it where you can actually heat that bigger boiler up.
Oh, of course. It's like a battery.
Exactly.
Water. Yeah.
So it's
So that's an alternative. You could just have a gigantic tank of water next
Yeah,
to it. That is always cold.
and I do assume it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
I have seen similar solutions now also in Holland next to greenhouses.
I was going to say next to swimming pools, right?
Also, including that. This is actually the first product in the world which you have at least 3 revenue streams, which is Bitcoin mining,
Yeah.
selling the heat, as well as balancing the energy market.
So the first thing I wanted you to help me with is, what is this?
Briefly, that's a Bitcoin miner from Bitmain, probably the biggest miner manufacturer.
Okay. Because when people think of Bitcoin mining, they often think of these or on a bigger scale, right? Some people think of computers like actual laptops, right? But this is the state of Bitcoin mining in 2025, right?
Yeah. So many people say that it's the dumbest computer in the world because it can only do one algorithm. It cannot do anything else. It can do just Bitcoin algorithm.
And that one algorithm is hashing, right? So
Exactly.
it's just guessing
Just
stuff.
although it's very powerful, so it's
Yeah.
more powerful than our laptops, iPhones, but it's really not a smart one.
Okay. And I know we're outside and it's freezing, but there's a point to it. This thing has the power, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
because it's just doing that one thing very, very well, it's generating a lot of heat, right? And that heat is then what you guys use, or you guys sort of provide the infrastructure to use to help sort of change the course of history of towns, let's say. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But first thing I wanted to explain to me is, could you explain how the hydro cooling works and then how the other cooling works?
All right, so as we do have an example here, that's an air-cooled, we have the hash boards placed inside, on which there are placed the chips. And as those chips do get very hot, here we have the fans that actually take the outside air, blow it through the chips, cool them down, and blow it out on the exhaust side. What this does, we call it the shoebox design, because it's not really any standard. It doesn't apply to any standards except Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
So this is the same principle that we do maintain in a bigger scale, which is then containerized type of Bitcoin mine.
So wait, this on the back here, is that?
So this is just the fan. On top of there, we do see the fans, but in the front here, the V form, V shape, is the radiator, same as in your car.
Yeah.
So there's an antifreeze flowing through, and the fans sucking the air and cooling down the coils inside, thus cooling down the liquid that's providing the other type of miner technology inside.
Okay, got it. But the fun thing is that in cooling down the miners, you are heating up the air, and that's where you guys come in and provide this heat to towns and places across the Nordics in particular. Before we get there, what is district heating? What does that mean?
That's a good question. So for us in the north, it's quite understandable that we open the tap, we have the water, and we turn on the heat, and we have the heat. So it's
Right.
But I assume it's a legit question.
Well, but like my house in Yorkshire where I grew up had central heating, right?
Yeah.
But that's because we had a boiler that heated up the water that went into the radiators. But you guys have district heating.
Central district heating, if that may be the right definition of that. It means that there's imagine you have the electric company. There's an electric company that produces the electricity, and there's also a company that distributes and owns the cables, or whoever owns the cables, but there's some company that maintains that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Same applies, or same similarities we can see in the district heating companies, that there are heat production companies, that maybe a variety of them, maybe that's a municipality company, maybe privately owned companies can provide that sort of heat.
Yeah.
But then there's a company that also distributes it and says, hey, actually we need 60 degrees here. Now during winter we need 110 degrees. Can you provide that? If not, okay, let's think of something else. Anyways, those are very long developed infrastructures throughout Nordics.
Throughout the Nordic. So it's very common to have central district heating in like Latvia, for example, or any surrounding town.
Yeah.
Okay. And that you just pay your bill regularly, like you pay your electricity or your water bill. You'd also have your central district heating bill.
That is completely correct.
Okay. And so these places, like what were they using to heat up stuff in the past, traditionally?
So long time ago it was coal, then it was recently gas was the top thing to heat cities up with. It's very versatile actually. You can it works like a huge engine basically, where it heats up the engine and it spins a turbine. It can heat up some other things. It can generate electricity. So it's still pretty widespread throughout Europe.
Yeah.
But considering we are today, 2025, I would say we need to evolve as humans do.
So most towns are currently being heated by gas.
Not particularly here.
Yeah.
But in many places it is. So gas or wood chips, pellets. Those are very common.
Okay.
A variety of methods.
Right. Okay.
Even oil and all these kinds of oil products have been used.
But not electric heating per se.
In some places, yes.
Okay.
It can be, but it's not very common.
Okay. And so now the idea is to heat these towns with Bitcoin mining heat. Like, why does that make more sense than gas? Why does it make more sense than the existing solutions?
So I am a Bitcoiner, and we do manufacture these products, but just by let's look at from the perspective of society.
Okay.
I don't care where the heat comes from.
Right.
Not at all. There's a gas or Bitcoin, whatever there is, but there's a competition between heat providers in general. There's always is, who will sell or the cheapest or the most expensive. Gas has gotten more expensive now. Also, that includes oil prices, which impact the gas prices, the diesel prices where the trucks run on, thus impacting also the wood chip pellet prices.
Oh, right.
So
there's a knock-on effect of inflation on the cost of heating generally, right?
It all is aligned.
Yeah.
It's a harmony of all those things. It's economy. But the heating companies, let's say, they can heat it up with wooden pellets. It's a huge stove that burns and creates heat.
Yeah.
So it can do one thing. It can heat or not heat.
Yeah. And it's quite hard to turn off that stove, right?
It takes some time until it heats down again. So you're not very flexible on that.
Yeah.
And me as a consumer, I don't notice that because companies take care of that. And now let's assume there's a unit. There's a Bitcoin mining container or a data center, HPC data center, that is owned by a company that manufactures heat.
Yeah.
So what they get is Bitcoin because they're using Bitcoin miners. What a byproduct or another product that they do make is heat.
Yeah.
So can they compete with pricing with all those other providers? I would say yes, because they have several revenue streams, which the wood pallet guys don't have, or the gas generator guys, they don't have. They have only one way to do that, and that is gas. So I would say, in general, as a society, if we strive towards technologies like these, where we do advanced heating and when we understand capitalism, then if you can make more money with the same product, you can also offer better pricing to the consumer. Right. So
are you seeing that though with the towns that you've provided these infrastructure to? Have you actually seen that energy prices have gone down?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
The infrastructure is quite expensive.
Right. Yeah.
But in general, this is the way that it's gonna be.
Okay.
Like, sooner or later, it is going to be so.
If we just compare those three silos, because it's super easy comparison, right? You've got wood pellets going in and, creating a fire, a stove, as you say, and that creates your heat for your town. Or you've got natural gas. So gas goes in, you burn it, and you can either generate electricity or you can heat towns with that, whatever you're heating up. Or you've got electricity going into Bitcoin miners that heats up towns, and they also get the Bitcoin. So the raw produce or the raw sort of material going in is wood versus gas versus electricity. Like when you look at those sort of three together, what is the cheapest? Is it cheapest? I guess they've got so many variables, it's hard to point at one and say.
Yeah, it's very regional.
Okay, right. So
for
if you're
us,
in the
look
north
around, it's wooden pallets are very cheap.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, can't see much gas.
Yeah, exactly. But there are countries where gas is cheap, like Norway.
Yeah.
But they have also a lot of hydropower.
And a lot of trees too. So,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I guess it's not. And then what about the environmental sort of question? We're in Europe, which clearly cares a lot about the whole climate change stuff. What do they make of electricity going into Bitcoin miners? Because does it not depend on the source of the electricity? Could you in theory swap out natural gas heating for Bitcoin miner heating when you could have just carried on with natural gas? Do you see what I mean?
You know, this kind of infrastructure to fully substitute a product that can push out or deliver higher temperatures, probably Bitcoin mining is not going to be the one that substitutes it fully.
Right, yeah,
Like,
okay.
we can substitute several levels
Yep.
of things, or in some places, maybe a town doesn't need 100 degrees. Maybe it needs only 70 degrees.
Okay.
So in that case, we can substitute some heat pumps, which are powered by electricity,
Yeah.
and then we kind of use only Bitcoin miners.
Yeah.
So that's doable.
Okay.
But maybe we have to look this as a part of the whole infrastructure. This is the new guy on the block.
Yeah,
that,
okay.
that is more versatile on
Yeah.
many things, but it's not the strongest.
Yeah, okay, that's cool, Jannis. No, I like the way you frame it because, like, despite being a Bitcoiner, it hasn't completely clouded your judgment of like Bitcoin fixes this. You know, we should be putting these in every town all around the world.
Yeah, let's be realistic, right? It costs a lot of money. Bitcoin is great, but economy dictates the rules. So
yeah. And what do you say to people that suggest that instead of Bitcoin miners, you could use a NVIDIA AI chip, or you could use, AWS servers? Surely that's a better use. And everyone uses AWS, as we know with every internet outage, right?
So there's a bigger difference. Bitcoin mining is, I would assume, one of the best calculated industries in the world.
Best calculated industries?
Yes. So
What does that mean?
that means that they're, as far as we know, the customers and people in the space, they calculate and take into the consideration the slightest detail, from hardware to the location, to the grid, to the electrical grid, as well as heating grid, political part, economical. So that's like very well evaluated decision where your mining farm is going to be placed.
Okay. Why can't you just do this with AI stuff instead? You could put a lot of NVIDIA chips there instead of Bitcoin miners, because this is what some guy in the comments is going to say. Yeah, it works, but you should use insert other solution that everyone uses instead. I.e., this works, but you can use NVIDIA chips, you can use AWS servers instead of Bitcoin mining.
The graphic cards that might or have been used previously to mine, let's say, Ethereum, they have some hashing power as well. Okay.
Yeah.
If we dedicate that to algorithm of Bitcoin. But in this case, you would be overpaying for that hashing power many times over, because that particular graphic card can do better things, like many things, as rendering, other calculations, powering your YouTube.
Okay.
This thing cannot. That's why it's cheaper to go with the ASIC chip rather than to buy things that you don't need for.
Yeah. But that doesn't answer the guy in the comment section. He's saying AI chips get AI chips get hot. So do AWS server racks. They get hot. You can liquid cool them and then use the heat to power, heat a town. Why don't we do that instead?
No, it is going to be so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So so in the future we will heat our towns with Bitcoin miners and AWS servers and AI chips.
Yes, but also same thing to an extent. Depends on what kind of temperature can they get out.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin mining chips do heat up significantly.
Right.
So we have followed the logs, and the chips tend to, or can heat up even to 95 degrees at some point.
Well, okay.
So
our kettles are going to be replaced by Bitcoin miners.
It's not the most efficient temperature.
Yeah.
So it's when you're pushing the limits.
Right.
But that tech might also evolve. In regards to AMD and NVIDIA, I just have no information about how hot they get.
Okay.
But for district heating and heat proper reuse, you would need higher temperatures.
Yeah.
So currently it's about 30 degrees that they're getting out, and it's not really needed.
Yeah,
so 30 degrees are not requested.
So to the guy in the comment section that says, you could use AI chips instead, the reply is yes, although it doesn't quite get warm enough.
Yes, and one more thing. AI and conventional data centers need uptime of the closest to 100% that they can get.
You've got to be able to ask ChatGPT something and get a prompt and a reply immediately, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't want your YouTube video to be lagging. You want the uptime as fast as you can forever.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose or difference between normal conventional data centers and Bitcoin data centers. So we are flexible on that because it doesn't do a big harm if we're 15 minutes off or an hour off.
Yeah. Okay. So these things you can turn it on, turn it off whenever you want, and it's always
more or less.
Okay. The other question was about there's been a lot of discussion about Bitcoin miners helping to balance grids. How does that work in the context of Northern Europe? Have you got are these things genuinely helping to balance grids, and if so, how?
So we are a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
In this case, I wouldn't be able to comment on all the regions.
Yeah.
But the most common one, there are two ways how to do that with mostly older gen Bitcoin miners. And older because they are just cheaper to install. So they have gotten their return on investment already, and that's fine. So now the usage is, and basically the long-term game of Europe was to invest or substitute companies into renewable energy sector, which now we do have, and we do see in Germany, Spain, even here. During sunny days, all the solar plants generate the electricity simultaneously. And then again, same with the wind, also generated all at the same time. But you don't have the consumer at that particular time, because electricity, if it is not stored, and storing capacity is basically not enough for the installed capacity now.
What you mean, basically batteries, right?
Yeah.
The sun is shining for all of us, then we can put the excess into batteries.
Yes.
And you're suggesting that instead of putting the excess into batteries...
Or consume it.
Yeah.
Or consume it. And it may be not as good for the whole society in general. Mm-hmm. It might be one of the solutions for, or tools for renewable energy companies, where the electricity cost or purchasing price on the grid is low, and there's no purpose for them to sell it. So then why not consume it? So either you store it and sell it later when the price is higher, or you consume it.
And the best way to consume it currently is with a Bitcoin miner.
And there are not many devices that you can remotely switch on and off and just consume some energy that is produced too much.
Last question. In 10 years' time, so we're at 2035, where is this going? Are we going to have Bitcoin mining devices pretty much everywhere that needs heat? As a way of sort of consuming the excess electricity, as a way of, churning out heat when we need it sometimes, and then also to make some Bitcoin on the side? Where does this all go?
It's a great question, but I would like to approach it from a variety of perspectives.
Okay.
Let's assume I'm a corporation, a huge Google corporation, Amazon corporation that manufactures some hardware. Why not? You manufacture Google Pixel phone, for example. You already have the network. You are paying for the network. Yeah. You are paying for the electricity by charging it. Why not put a small, tiny Bitcoin chip in it? And by multiplying that, you have the free hash rate, basically.
Really? You could do this, though.
Right? You could. Exactly. That's my point.
So you'd have like a billion phones hashing. And even they have
a small hashing power, but the costs have been covered by the consumer, and you don't know that you're mining. But that's just a conspiracy theory. I would do if I would be a corporation.
Okay, one perspective,
But then again, like me as a society, I do see that we will have Bitcoin mining on the ways that we as a society actually just don't know.
Okay.
Grid, pools, heating companies, it will be in a variety of locations. And that comes handy in collaboration probably with how much adoption will we have in 10 years. That is the biggest correlation there.
Cool. Okay. Jannis, thanks so much, mate.
Hey, Joe,
let's go heat up.
Yes.
Warm up, heat up. I can't speak.
Let's grab some tea, right?
Yeah, exactly. Cool.